and we'll keep doing it in this format because this is way better, and we get to explain our answers way better. So we'll be doing it in video format. So we announced that we'll be answering your questions at the start of the day, and several of you have asked a lot of questions from the party. So we'll be answering them one by one. The first question that has been asked is, how do you propose to deal with the rampant corruption in the Bhavneta Raj? Okay, this one is pretty easy. First of all, cut all the areas where they can basically bribe, which cut the areas where they have the opportunity to take bribes, which are mostly regulations that they enable others to bypass just by paying for them. So cutting regulations will help corruption a lot. Then secondly, reducing the overall scope of their work so that they are just engaged in procedure as compared to approvals. So that will help a lot. And these basic changes will lead to reducing the scope of corruption. And one thing that is little talked about is that paying them higher. So what happened in Singapore was that Lee Kuan Yew realized that if public servants are not paid on par with the private sector, they would they would have greater social pressure to engage in corrupt practices to maintain their social status. So it would be better to pay them off at market rates, while at the same time ensuring that their pay increase is related to performance of the economy, so that they are incentivized to improve the economy more and more, and then cannot just leech off of the state. So this was a smart way to incentivize bureaucratic performance, and we would implement something similar. And while at the same time, there is also the provision that local municipalities should have the freedom to experiment in what way they want to run their bureaucracies. And even if they even want bureaucracies, that's the whole other question as well.
Yeah.
The next question is, how does free trade make you a vessel of America? It doesn't. Free trade doesn't make a vessel of anyone. All this, I think, the source of inhibition against free trade comes from somewhat from the history of colonialism, which was not exactly free trade, but monarchy granted monopolies. So that doesn't qualify as free trade. Rather, colonialism was the opposite of free trade. They imposed restriction on the host countries while making their home countries cheaper to at a competitive advantage by reducing the tariffs and all. So no, free trade doesn't make you a vassal of any other country. Uh, all these notions that we need for national security and all, no, these are highly there is no record of any industry getting destroyed because of free trade, until and unless there have been market manipulations that have resulted in cheaper alternatives or alternative industries not emerging. So these inhibitions,
Also,
yeah.
one more thing. Only way you will become vassal of America is if you only do free trade with America and then sanction other countries which America tells you to. Then
Yes.
that's actually vassalage. So we support free trade with all the countries, including Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, any despotic nation. It's fine. We are gonna trade with all the countries.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that we are saying that there is no role for security and all. Security, let the security forces play their part, but trade wars definitely don't help anyone. And this recent American opening up of chip industry to the Chinese has been a move in the positive direction. So if it was so beneficial, why would have they have done it? You really need to think about their assumptions of whether protectionism really makes a difference or not. Okay. Next question is: would you abolish CBSC all the state curriculums and Ministry of Education. Yes, but that doesn't mean that we won't propose an alternate system. The alternate system that would be ideal is the involvement of industry in development of curriculum, depending on the area that you are in. So, like each area has its own specialty. Like Mumbai specializes in finance, Bangalore specializes in tech, and various other cities specializes in various things. So their education, their the city governments can decide that okay, this is a good curriculum to. What is the aim of education? The aim of education is to skill students so that they upskill students so that they can become productive members of the society. And that the biggest problem that we face in India right now, and what is the major cause of high unemployment, it isn't that there is a lack of jobs, but it is rather because there is lack of proper skilled people who can be employed, who will come consistently and who will get the job done. So this is the major complaint of all the companies. Like there is a dual shortage. A dual shortage cannot exist. That there is shortage of skilled workers, while at the same time there is shortage of jobs. These two things cannot coexist.
Yeah, and we can have market solutions as well, where
Yep.
a
Yep.
certain kind of boards will come up,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
which the schools employ if they find that okay, it's useful. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can coordinate and come up with such boards. So we have to liberalize the education also, and decentralize as well as much as we can, so
Yeah.
that
And yes, yes, and the political reason for doing it is because all these. All these boards just become propaganda wings of the ruling party. Like one government comes in, they changes the curriculum for that suits their version of history. Then another government comes that they change the curriculum that suits their version of history. And we have we have children who are growing up with alternative versions of history and the alternative understanding of the world, and that doesn't bring consistency into the system. So because they have gone there to be learn to taught the truth, not political propaganda.
also even with related to STEM subjects, there can be schools which are for like gifted students, like who the students who are like very fast learners. Why should they go with the brunt of studying
Yeah,
for a whole year and moving to the next year? What if they create a system where they're able to promote such students quickly, and start giving them internships, or putting them in research sector? Like there are multiple possibilities even with STEM sector. It's not just about history, and it's only
yeah,
possible when we liberalize the sector.
yes, yes. Whole assortment of like this is where the market will come in. There will be schools that cater to special kids. There will be schools that cater to different like parents will be parents would like a certain leaning. They would like to send their children to certain schools. So there would be a whole lot of alternatives that parents would have available, and they would have choice rather than just relying on the CBSE version of education or the ICSE version of education. So that will be a positive direction that everyone will appreciate,
Yes.
except the tyrants who just want control over everyone. Yeah. So the next one is how will LPI tackle global crisis like this, especially fuel prices and market impact? Okay. So first of all, if free markets had been operational, all these turbulences would have automatically been taken into account. It is the government intervention that is causing the problems because they artificially control, they have made the economy artificially dependent on these sources of fuels, either by subsidizing or either by taxing. So, if the market had operated its natural course, we would have multiple sources of energy. We would have nuclear, we would have hydroelectric, we would have solar, we would have all sorts of energy sources, thermonuclear,
We would have had lots of EV cars
yes,
as
sir.
well. You know, uh,
Yeah, we would have all sort of hybrid cars or electric cars or whatever version of cars are there. We would have transportation that is uh, we would have way more rail transportation. We would have jets that run on electricity.
Yes.
So if the markets had operated their natural force, we would have a whole set of alternatives. Each crisis would have opened up the markets. But talking in terms of what needs to be done in the short term, the government needs to complement the energy demands of the country and ensure secure the it is the job of the foreign ministry to coordinate with the other governments since energy energy is of national significance. Most of the countries have significant say in the energy sector. So it is the job of the foreign ministry to have proper deals and the Navy and the army to ensure that the supply chains are maintained even when disruption comes. And India has done reasonably well. We haven't been it can be said we have done reasonably well in these turbulent circumstances. A whole lot of countries have struggled, but still, long term, this strategy is not sustainable, and we need to have several alternative sources of energy. And we are nowhere near the energy requirement that the country has. We need to have at least 5 times or 10 times the current capacity that we have to be
Yes.
a rich and prosperous country. And oil is fine, but we definitely need nuclear and wave and other sources of energy.
Yes.
Okay. And how to manage the market impact? Markets don't need to be managed; they react automatically. What needs to be ensured is that, what is the role of the politicians is to give people the confidence that things will turn out fine and it is just temporary, which always is. Most of the time, what politicians do is that in their hurry of trying to do things, they make all the wrong decisions, like printing more money, or what measures right now they're proposing is that taxing foreign travel and increasing taxes on gold bars. So these things are definitely for just doing things for the sake of it don't work, and they have already raised fuel prices by 3 rupees. Uh, Diesel stands at 80. It's risen from 77 to 80, and petrol stands at 97. So this is what the government does. Next question is: what are the Libertarian Party strategy for addressing climate change through mitigation and adaptation? Climate
Um,
change is a difficult thing to address, but talking in terms of diversification of energy resources and having a clean environment, that definitely needs to be a priority.
yes.
Pollution, yeah,
And
pollution,
pollution can be tackled
yeah,
using Todd's law.
yeah,
Uh, and if the property rights are clearly defined, usually such pollution measures can be resolved much easier than now, because our property rights are not defined in a good way. We have this problem of tragedy of commons that happens. So
yeah,
since nobody owns anything, everybody just pollutes, and there is no cost they pay for it. But with a defined property rights, such issues can also be resolved. So that way, we are resolving for pollution. We are resolving for, in a way, we are resolving for climate change as well.
yeah. Next question is: some libertarians like minarchists support intellectual property, and some like ANCAPs don't support it. Duration of IP protection may vary. Currently, it is 20 years for patents and 70 years for copyright, and international treaties are also there. So, does LPI support IP rights? Uh, we support that there needs to be a reform in the IP law such that it doesn't become an instrument of censorship. Rather, it enables innovation. Most of
Yes.
the time, most of the time it becomes an instrument of censorship and inhibits innovation. So we are against that. That is our policy position.
Yeah. So yes, IP law in general, like specifically in US in the medical sector, the patents are used by a huge pharma sector to actually stop the newcomers from coming. So we have to make sure that specifically, like copyrights are still easy to enforce. Like if you just have to see is it easy to copy or not, like
Sure.
a book or a code. So it's much easier to like enforce copyrights. But in case of patents, it's not that, it's very murky in case of patents. And this is what those big farmers do, is that they do kind of like a patent farming. They continuously publish some patents, and this kind of stops the newcomer who has some sort of similar idea to even
Sure.
jumpstart, and they have to pay a hefty sum. So we have to make sure that such things doesn't happen. There is uniqueness in the patent, and it's not just for company doing some sort of patent farming. And
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have to maybe reduce the number of years as well
yeah.
for patent protection.
Yeah. Next question is, what is your response to people who argue for free that free trade leads to dumping? Well, the answer is really simple. That what is your problem with cheap goods? And if one country is spending resources to subsidize supply here, what are the issues? Uh, no monopolies, although theoretically possible, are rarely created. And suppose, like the most common example is given is that of steel. But the simple thing is that there are different varieties of
Varieties.
steel and different grades of steel. So it isn't like China or any other country can monopolize every small niche of steel. So there will be plenty of opportunities for uh, others to invest in to produce steel. While and additionally, if China over optimizes for steel, naturally it means that it has less resources for mining and production of other metals.
Yes.
So the local producers can compete in that. But what really they these people, the people who argue for protectionism, miss is that they 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 tried on in trying to protect one industry, they damage all the rest of the industries. Because, like, suppose there is a requirement of all this heavy machinery for uh, steel, and the government decides that okay, we will be optimizing for steel. So what happens is that they subsidize that and make other machinery expensive to buy. So everyone starts going for the steel because steel is cheaper, and then other industry miss out, and that as a result of it, they never have the incentive to adapt technology and thrive in it.
Yes.
So this one step uh, thinking doesn't produce any great outcomes, and it theoretically and in reality it has been destroyed time to time.
And can you
The
imagine if the steel becomes so cheap that our construction cost will become very less?
Yeah,
So in a way, our housing cost will become less. So
yeah,
like
and
this.
in addition to that, like, what will our policy be? Definitely it doesn't mean that we'll handicap our players. There needs to be reforms in the local industry as well. Capital access needs to be made easier. We have a highly regulated capital access where only the rich and top businesses can have the access to cheap capital, but the upstarts cannot. We need to ease on that. And secondly, we also need to have proper contract enforcement and proper business environment so that they are competitive. Like, whatever advantages they enjoy, all these set of advantages enable them to uh, all these to be competitive to them. You cannot be just there are different whole string of things get together to make a competitive industry, and we will definitely enable policies that make Indian businesses competitive across the world.
Yes.
Okay. Your next one is when will you contest elections? We really need some good leaders. Pretty soon. Expect them pretty soon. Will you disarm military? No. How will you fix Chennai and any other cities flooding issues? Okay, this is a good thing to discuss. And overall, let's talk about how city governance and civil engineering really works in India. So there is a concept called drainage that we simply forgot after the Indus Valley civilization and haven't really brought back into public consciousness since then. So this concept called drainage enables water to go down and move out of the city rather than flooding the city by standing still and drowning things. So what civil engineering and city planners need to do is to build proper drainage system so that whatever level of floods come in, whatever level of water pours in, that water is either stored properly or moved out of the city and made to join the rivers and all.
Yes.
So the best example is this of Japan, which has tsunamis and heavy rains all the time. But they have built a tremendous water sewerage system and water management system, so they never don't have these issues like floods and all. So this thing needs to be implemented across the country, and there are small instances of towns doing it. There recently, this town in Karnataka built approximately 400 kilometers of drainage, and as a result, it was suffering from floods and water seepage continuously. But after the construction of the drainage system, the problem got solved.
Yeah.
So, so we need to focus on build more drains, and a second order effect of building drains is that we are be- a second order effect of building drains is that we are better able to have roads that don't crack because of the presence of water. Our roads are whatever quality roads are made, their quality is severely deteriorated because we don't have proper drainage system which makes the water slide through and go into the drain as soon as it drops on the road. Like
Yeah.
cities like Mumbai, which have concrete roads, they have specifically focused on building proper drainage so that water doesn't stand still.
Yes.
Okay, next one is your opinion on the Taiwanese economic miracle. People, perhaps the only case where the application of industrial policy didn't have any adverse or large scale consequences.
Yeah.
So,
So, yes, Taiwan did have industrial policy specifically related to electronic sector. But there was a caveat that it was related to exports, how competitive their exports are. It wasn't just free for all and just keep subsidizing the industries. So they made sure that the industries are competitive in the export market, and that's how they were incentivized to actually compete in a way. And plus, Taiwan is a smaller country, so you can experiment and you can fail, and sometimes you can pass. So in their case, it kind of worked for them. But
yep,
they're also pretty much a liberalized economy. It's not a closed economy like other countries.
yep.
So that also helped them a lot.
Welfare programs cut all the welfare programs and whatever budget is there directly use it to directly basically let the people directly enjoy the benefits and let them have choice. So instead of government schools, the salaries being paid by the state governments, let parents have vouchers that they can use to pay for the fees
Yes.
and gradually open up so many opportunities that uh, welfare benefits are not worth it, and people would prefer to work and enjoy a better standard of living. Second one is monitoring private communications. No, there is no provision for monitoring private communication, and the government spies are necessary for spying on other countries, not spying on the country on its own citizens. That is called authoritarian police state, and we don't want that. Maintaining a military, yes, we need a military. Funding public education, as I told, voucher system,
Voucher system
environmental,
is
yeah, environmental regulations. Environmental regulations not that necessary. Just property rights and torts law pretty much covers everything. Next one is what's your take on senior libertarian member of LPI endorsing the idea of open border trade with Pakistan, and what public backlash LPI would face even after contesting elections? Open borders trade with Pakistan, we don't support that, and
open borders is no.
yeah,
Legal
open border, yeah.
legal migration is fine.
It is
Uh,
not about even migration. It is about trade.
yes, and it's more about trade. So
Yeah, yeah. We
that's
don't
it.
say. Yeah, we don't. First of all, Pakistan is a terrorist nation, and there is no. We do not like. It doesn't. It doesn't need to be granted any sympathies. And secondly, if talking in terms of trade, so it is up to the people to decide whether they want to trade with Pakistan or not.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say like any powerful country like US, it has its enemy in Russia, and previously it was USSR. Someday it was like before that was Nazi Germany.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean they close the doors to them, those scientists. So anyone, US was very open for getting talents even from enemy nations.
yeah,
So we have to think like if you want to be superpower, you have to think like superpower. You can't be like let's close it all. So
yeah,
any talent coming from anywhere is a good thing for us. Yes, we can
yeah,
have special measures for specifically the enemy countries to make sure that it's not a spying operation. But still, we need talented folks from wherever they come from.
yeah. Next one is removal of reservation sounds impossible in India. No, it is not. It just needs to be made irrelevant. The downtrodden communities have been done a tremendous disservice by the policy of reservation and all these welfare policies that are aimed at empowering them, but do nothing except handicapping them. And their leaders are the worst sort of leadership that anyone can have. Libertarian policies and free markets will be the best solution for upliftment of the downtrodden communities and making them a part of the mainstream and making all these discriminations and all this narrative a thing of the past. So I think we have a pretty decent policy platform that will enable them. And when those policies are implemented, people would simply don't feel the necessity for reservation because there will be so many opportunities and abundance that they would not care about getting a 20,000 rupees uh, job as a clerk in some dingy government office.
And also, we have to make sure that before that, private sector reservation doesn't seep in
Yeah, yeah,
any way, shape, or form. It is
yeah,
already there in some educational field, but we have to keep fighting against it. Otherwise,
yeah,
it will seep in private sector as well.
yeah. When will LPI get registered at CISVP? Pretty soon. Okay. The next question is what's LPI stand on animal rights? Animal rights. Animals are in the libertarian framework. Animal rights are designated under property rights, and animals are treated as property of the owner. So whatever, but this is theoretical. Next comes the different people may have different sensitivities as per their cultural beliefs. So they are free to form rules in such a way that that suits their sensibility, as long as they are not violating property rights and fundamental rights of others. So that is the libertarian take on animal rights. Next is more boards equals to more red tape equals to more corruption, more expensive for everyone. No, it is not. More options doesn't mean more corruption or more red tape.
More laws means more corruption.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
have to reduce
yeah,
the
yeah,
number
yeah.
of laws.
More competition has always been beneficial for the consumer.
Yes.
I think this is pretty much.
Do we have any comments from live section?
Yeah, I'm checking that. No.
All right, then
Yeah, so I think we are done for with all the questions today. So thank you all for joining. See you all next time. Good night.
good night.